Let's get into this. This is something of a unique form. And this form, just like the title of this video, will go ahead and give nightmares to Social Security Administration employees. This is a very, very serious form. I haven't done a video on it before because I'm afraid that it might be abused in its use by Social Security disabled individuals. And the reason why is some of you will disagree with this, but I don't see how you will. The disabled community has a higher percentage of individuals that are more likely to become triggered more easily. A significant portion of mentally disabled individuals have things like anxiety, depression, panic attacks, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorders, bipolar personality disorders, etc. And as a result, I have not done a video specifically on this form yet because I was concerned about use and abuse of this form going forward. But I think it's now time that we kind of have a leveled out channel and people understand specifically the limitations when it comes to this as to how going forward this particular form should be used. This form is a very, very scary thing for Social Security Administration employees to receive. It is not something to use lightly. It is not something to use as a fancy here and fancy there. It is something that could potentially ruin the life of somebody. This is like your cancel form, okay? It's a cancel culture-esque form. So you need to understand, you need to appreciate and respect the fact of the immensity of this form going forward before you ever consider using it. With that said, let's basically get into it, okay? Let's go. All right. There's a specific form, the SSA 437BK. It is the civil rights complaint form for allegations of program discrimination by the Social Security Administration. It's basically your modern day cancel form. The purpose of this form, I'm going to read directly from the form. The purpose of this form, SSA 437BK, is to help you file a complaint of discrimination about a program or activity conducted by the Social Security Administration. SSA policy. The SSA policy requires us to conduct our programs and activities in a way that does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, including limited ability to communicate in English, religion, sex, including sexual orientation and gender identity, disability, age, or parental status. No SSA officer, employee, or agent may intimidate, threaten, harass, coerce, discriminate, or otherwise retaliate against anyone who has filed a complaint of alleged discrimination or who has participated in any manner in an investigation or other proceeding raising allegations of discrimination. Now, in practical application, when this thing gets filed, the SSA automatically pulls that person away from anything that you have to do, that they have to do with your claim and you interacting with them. They automatically pull them. They don't go towards that file. They don't go around that file. They don't touch that file. Here is the section on filing a complaint of discrimination. SSA 437 for those who are just joining us now. And obviously, if you enjoy this channel, please remember to like and subscribe. Filing a complaint of discrimination. If you think that an SSA employee or administrative law judge acted upon your claim based on bias or discrimination instead of the facts of your case, you may file a complaint of discrimination by using this form. Instead of using this form, you may write a letter stating the same information required by this form. If your letter is missing information, we will send you a copy of this form. We investigate complaints of discrimination that are complete, timely, and within our jurisdiction. Do not file a complaint of discrimination if, and this is important, do not file a complaint of discrimination if you experienced a customer service problem not related to discrimination. If an SSA person gets mad at you and blows up on you and it's not discrimination related, you do not use this form. This form is far more serious. Okay. Instead, contact the SSA at faq.ssa.gov/ics/support/ticket/newwizard.asp, and then the URL goes on, but you can look it up at the SSA 437BK. Complaints about decisions on claims for program benefits. Do not file a complaint of discrimination if your complaint concerns a benefit decision you disagree with. So if you're just pissed off because you got a denial, that is not a reason to file this form. This form, again, is too serious for just I got a denial and now I'm angry. I want to make this very clear up front because I don't want this form to be abused. Okay. If you want to ask SSA to change its decision about your benefits claim under a program SSA administers, such as disability insurance, supplemental security income, child benefits, widow benefits, or retirement, you must follow the procedures and deadlines for appealing the decision as described in the Notice of Appeal Rights included with the decision. If you believe SSA benefit decision was based on discrimination, you must state this in your appeal and provide the facts on which you base your allegation. Important. If you disagree with an action SSA took on a claim for benefits, our program rules require you to appeal the action within a specific time period. Filing a complaint of discrimination using this form, okay, the SSA 437, or a letter stating the same information but without this form, to complain to an SSA employee of administrative law judge that an administrative law judge or an employee acted upon your claim for benefits based on bias or discrimination instead of the facts of your case, this filing of this form will not extend the deadline, the 60 days plus 5 mailings, so 65 total, will not extend the deadline for filing an appeal. Okay. So they go through basically how you can go ahead and file this thing, what you can do. But remember, you have a filing deadline. You must file a complaint of discrimination within 180 days of the action you allege was based on discrimination, so less than a year. If the action took place more than 180 days ago, you must explain why you waited to file the complaint. Seek excusable negligence. SSA will waive the 180-day deadline if we believe you had a good cause for filing late. You were in jail. You were in the hospital. We must dismiss complaints filed later without good cause. Okay, then they go through where to send it, things like that. And it's the OCREO, CCM under the SSA, Attention Civil Rights Complaints. So what is actually in this form? Which is basically the cancel culture form for SSA employees. Number one, persons alleging who were discriminated against, right? So this is where you're going to say, okay, this is the person that was discriminated against, okay? And then you put down the person who is completing this form. Question 3, please explain your relationship to any person identified in question 1. So that's where the person filling out the form, if it's somebody other than the disabled person or the SSA, benefit seeker, that's where they would put down their relationship to the person who was discriminated against. Question 4. It is against SSA policy for a program conducted by SSA to discriminate against you based on your race, color, national origin, religion, sex, disability, age, or parental status. Okay. It also is against SSA policy to retaliate against you because you filed a discrimination complaint or to retaliate against anyone who assisted you in filing a complaint. Please tell us why you believe you were discriminated against. Complaints. All right, now in this section, just to go through it real quick, we go to 5. On what dates did the alleged discrimination take place? So they're building a timeline. Question 6. Complaints must be generally filed within 180 days of the alleged discrimination. If the date of the discrimination listed above is more than 180 days, you may request a waiver of the time limit for filing a complaint. If you wish to request a waiver, please explain why you waited until now to file your complaint. So that gives you an opportunity to try and beat that like statute of limitations-esque part of it. Question 7. Please describe the action SSA took that you believe was based on discrimination or the SSA policy, procedure, or practice that you believe is discriminatory. Explain why you believe you were discriminated against. Identify any people you allege were treated differently than you because of discrimination. Give the names of anyone involved and describe what they did. If the action happened in an SSA office, give the office's address. If the action happened during a phone call with the SSA, give the number you called or were called from, whom you talked to, and the date and time you called. You may use additional sheets if necessary. You may also attach copies of any documents that will help us understand what happened. So this is where you basically outline the who, what, when, and where. Okay, they're trying to figure out how to attach this to a person, an employee at the SSA, who's going to have a nightmare when they find out that a formal complaint for discrimination or bias was filed against them by somebody. Question 8. If you believe that you were retaliated against for filing or participating in a prior discrimination complaint, please explain the circumstances below. Be sure to explain how you were retaliated against and describe what actions you took that you believe led to the retaliation. Retaliations are more common than you think. They are massively underreported because everybody knows the basic thing, which is that if you have some employee who is quasi-retaliating against you or full-on retaliating against you, usually you try to make peace with them to go ahead and get them to process the benefits because the person is starving. They don't have any money. They're losing their house. They're losing their dwelling. They're losing their car. You're just trying to get that employee to process it through. Is retaliatory behavior rampant throughout the SSA? No. Is it prevalent? Absolutely. Is it something that happens at a particular level more often than not? The local field office. You see a lot of local field office stuff, and I've seen a lot of local field office stuff where I've sat back and said, holy cow, wow. And it always happens too. Well, it doesn't always happen, but it happens heavily during the pre-effectuation interview / the actual, payment of the benefits. Because, if you get a claimant with a mental impairment, she starts screaming at the SSA employee, all of a sudden we're getting some interesting behavior back from the SSA employee. And then obviously it can lead to retaliatory behavior. Question 9, please list the names, addresses, and phone numbers of any persons who may have witnessed or have additional information about the actions that are the subject of your complaint. If the person is an SSA employee, it is sufficient to give the employee's name and the name or location of the SSA office. Now, one of the things you need to understand is that a lot of SSA employees that are older will never give out their full name, or they just won't give out their name when they answer the phone. Now, they're supposed to give you some sort of identifying information, but I know the way it works, which is that the older employees know that when they answer the phone, they'll go ahead and say, okay, I can see your claim here. You're such and such, and this is about this, correct? And they won't say their name when they get on the phone because that's their way to go ahead and limit liability to you knowing who they are. With that said, also, you can still file stuff. They can still see who was on the phone call throughout the process. But the bottom line is you're less likely to file something if you don't know who the person is that was committing bias, retaliatory behavior, or potentially, some sort of discrimination against you. 10. Did you write to or talk with an SSA official about the actions you believe to be discriminatory? If so, give the name of the persons you talked to, the address of the person's office, or the phone number you called, the dates you talked, and describe what happened. 11. What would you like SSA to do as a result of your complaint? What remedy or accommodation are you seeking because of the discrimination you allege? And this is a really smart question because the SSA and government offices don't usually ask you what you feel would be the proper and appropriate remedy. But this form does, because let's call it like it is, when civil rights violations happen, there's not always a clean-cut fix to this. It's not like, okay, if you give me this money, we'll do this. Sometimes you're just looking for an apology, and sometimes you go down that road. Sometimes you're just, basically looking for a fix. You want this to happen. You want this to be done. And then the SSA gets on and the manager takes over and processes. 12. Have you or has the person allegedly discriminated against filed a complaint about this matter with any other agency or organization? Usually there's like an HHS violation, Health and Human Services. 12A. If yes, identify the name and location of the offices where the complaint was filed. 12B. When was the complaint filed? Now, what's interesting about this is that I have always wondered if the employees, as part of OIG, where it was said that some whistleblowers were basically retaliated against, I always wondered if those whistleblowers who were employees of the SSA actually used this form to submit against OIG, which I've always wondered about that. 13, how did you learn that you could file this complaint? And that's where I'm going to get in trouble. That's where I'm going to get in trouble because you're going to be like, oh, Attorney Walter Hnot, most viewed and subscribed to Disability Attorney in America. I got it right from there. I got it right from his stuff. I'm going to get in big trouble for that one. Here you go. 14. We cannot accept a complaint if it has not been signed. Please sign and date this complaint form below. signature of person allegedly discriminated against, right? Signature of person completing this form. Okay. Do you need special accommodations? So they go through basically things that they can do when they respond to you, right? So they look at do you need Braille? Do you need large print? Do you need a CD with a Word file? Do you need an audio CD, electronic mail, a TDD, a sign language interpreter, foreign language interpreter, or something else, right? And then they go through ethnicity and race, so you can go ahead and fill that out. What this form is it's basically like a cancel culture-esque. It's a cancel form. You send this in on somebody's career at the SSA, and it's an investigation. It's a big deal, and it should not be abused. That's why I started this video off basically explaining, hey guys, don't abuse the knowledge of this form. It's not to be used in that fashion. Okay. All right. I'm going to be doing one additional video, and then I have to go to sleep and wake up early. The next video is kind of interesting because it talks about the political landscape as to how much money we've been printing and what's going to happen with Social Security benefits going into the future. So with that said, I will see you basically in, I would say, about 5 to 10 minutes. I will catch you there. Please remember to like and subscribe. Please go to Google if you can and throw some reviews up there for Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution, Disability Resolution Florida. You know what, guys? I'm so tired. I don't think I'm going to go ahead and go live again. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm like sleeping right now. But I will catch you tomorrow at some point, probably somewhere around like a little bit after lunch or something. But the next video I'm going to be doing is probably one of the most important videos. I'll do it tomorrow, but I'm going to go get some sleep. But the bottom line is it explains the timeline of what Biden has done when it comes to borrowing and printing. And the problem, the scary thing about it, is that unfortunately, a lot of the legislation that was passed and presented has been very inflation-causing legislation. And as a result of that, it decreases the overall worth of Social Security benefits, which causes basically House reps and senators and things like that to start going ahead and saying some very, very shocking things. And just to give you some of the shocking statements, Tommy Tuberville, Senator, Republican, Alabama, let's go through it real quick. Americans have been swindled by Social Security, and most people won't get the benefit, according to the senator. No, most people won't get Social Security, he said. It's just unfortunate. And it was a tax that was levied on the American people years ago, sold a bill of goods. Hey, we're going to take care of your retirement, right? And then he goes on to say, this is all a scam, right? He says, this is all a scam. Social Security benefits are all a scam. This is a direct quote from him. I mean, we got people who are ready to retire that's going to try to live off of $2,000 to $3,000. Impossible. He said, with $35 trillion in debt, we don't have any of your money. We're dead broke as a government. We're going to be going through that. We're going to be going through the legislation that's been put through and basically what that ultimately comes down to for printing money and how that will affect Social Security benefits going forward. And there's some good to it and there's bad too. But yeah, I like to give you guys both sides so that you can see everything. I will catch you guys tomorrow somewhere around mid-noon because I'm kind of falling asleep. You have a wonderful, wonderful night and we will go from there. Thanks so much. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.